Hey y'all, welcome to the Career and Technical Education Podcast. I'm Brandon Grace.
And I'm Randall Huss.
And today we have our HOSA officers from the ATC. How are y'all today, ladies?
Good.
Good. Can y'all introduce yourselves and kind of tell us what classes y'all are taking here?
Yeah. So my name is Haley Whitley, and I'm a senior this year, and I'm taking the EMT class this year.
I'm Taylor Reber. I'm a senior also, and I'm in the PCT as well as the EMT class.
My name is Lizzie Hughes, and I'm a senior, and I'm taking the PCT class.
Awesome. It's great meeting y'all. Glad y'all are here.
Very cool. And I have to ask because I know that EMT and PCT both are very demanding classes, and you're taking both. How's that experience been? Like, is it just, you have any time for anything else?
Well, I am in dance too, and it gets really stressful, and we're coming up on doing clinicals for both classes, so it's kind of stressful trying to plan them out and knowing your dates and stuff. So I suggest having a calendar.
Well, and just keeping up with your other classes too.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously you guys are very medically oriented, and so really appreciate what you guys are doing here. I've seen you guys around the ATC for years, and so just love having you guys here. Talk to us a little bit about, obviously we're going to focus on HOSA today, and so we've got folks that listen from across the country, and so we may have some folks that are heavily involved in HOSA and doing the thing, and you probably see them at state or nationals. And then we may have some folks that are just looking at, what is HOSA? What's that all about? So tell us, first off, about what HOSA is, and then how did you guys get involved?
So HOSA stands for Health Occupation Students of America, and it began in Texas, actually, fun fact. And basically, it's a convention organized for students who are interested in pursuing a career in healthcare, not necessarily being a doctor, not necessarily being a nurse, but exploring the other options that the healthcare field has to offer. And they're basically competitions that, some of them have a little niche, there's a veterinary science competition, there's medical spelling, there's healthcare issues event, which is essentially current events over the healthcare field. And it's really amazing for students who want to advance their knowledge with regards to medical standards, I would say. And you basically compete first you compete in a online testing round. And if you advance through that online testing round, then you'll go to regionals. And Texas is the largest HOSA chapter, so we have 7 regions in our state, as opposed to the other states who only have 1. And basically, you compete at regionals, and then you either advance to state, either from being top 10%, being placing, or being in the top 5%. It depends on the event; it varies. Sure. And then you'll go to internationals, and I went to Tennessee for internationals, but this year they're having it in Texas, so
wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, what did you compete in at Tennessee?
So in Tennessee, I competed in a healthcare issues event. So that one is the current events one, whenever you have to study Medline Plus, what KCBD is following up on, those kinds of things, local and national news. So that's really important. And then also I competed in prepared speaking my first year, and the healthcare issues event, and the leadership event. So the leadership event was reading rules about parliamentary procedure and how to lead a group kind of thing. It honestly helped my leadership skills trying to study for that event. And then this year I'm competing in interviewing skills. And last year I competed in emotional well-being challenge, which I did a project over the effects of stress, physical and mental. And my partner and I, we performed a study. We were these are 3 ways that you can cope with stress to kind of reduce that load of it. And we had really good results. And some of those kids still come to me and they're I love that you introduced me in that strategy. And I was oh, wow. That's cool. Then this year I'm doing interview skills and the healthcare issues event.
Nice. Now, how did you get into HOSA?
Okay, so I got into HOSA because Miss McMurray, she was hey, there's this organization for people who are interested in the healthcare field. And I was oh, sick. And so I joined it.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly how it went for me, too. Yeah. Miss McMurray is really the one who got us into it.
That's awesome. Okay, very good. And Taylor?
I got in because Lizzie's been begging me for 2 years to be in HOSA, and I've said no every single year until this year.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm in it.
I was like, Taylor, you have to join it. Like, please, it would be so fun. We'll get to go to Amarillo together, and we'll get to go to Galveston together. I was like, come on, let's do it. And then she
There you
did
go.
I
it.
agreed this year.
And she
Awesome.
advanced. So props to her.
Very
Hey,
cool. So
surprisingly.
you've gone through the testing part.
Yes.
We've gone
Yeah.
to the next part. Awesome. Very cool.
So one thing I always think is interesting with all these student organizations is that a lot of times it's like, how'd you get in here? Well, my friend was in it last year and they begged me for 3 years to get into it and I finally did it.
Yeah.
And then they walk in and like, okay, this is cool. I mean, it's like, it every single time that's the story, it seems
For
like.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I love hearing about your advisor. You know,
Yeah.
like, she,
She's really
wanted-
amazing.
She-
Yeah.
It's really like a domino effect.
Yes, it
if
is.
one person does it, then all their friends do it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just grows. It's
Yeah.
a big community.
Well, and you guys are way better at recruiting than advisors are. I mean, we can tell you about the stuff and kind of share our passion, but we're not teenagers in high school. And like you said, it's your
Right.
friends that are getting involved. So
Right.
that's super cool.
Yeah.
What has being a part of HOSA? How's that affected you as a student? Like, I mean, does that relate into any of your other life, or like, what has that meant for you guys?
So I'd like to speak on that. So when I was in HOSA, my junior year last year, I did medical vocabulary, terminology, and I learned a lot of things that actually helped me for my classes that I'm in now. So my EMT class, I can explain and describe words that most other students can't because of my experience with those new terms for my HOSA event. And then also I'm in UIL spelling, and a lot of the words in that are medical terms. And so I'm like, oh, I know what this is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can spell meningoencephalitis. Like,
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah. That's not even easy to say.
but yeah, I think the biggest thing with HOSA is that it just helps you in your other medical
Yeah,
classes.
for sure.
That's cool. All right, Taylor.
Yeah, I'm in the nursing assistant one, so it really correlates with the PCT class that we're in. Like, all of these skills that I have been studying for like the past month or so have been taught to us in that class. So it's just been good to like have a refresher on those before I'm going into clinicals and like dealing with actual patients.
So it totally walks side by side with the things you're
Yeah,
learning,
yeah.
even in outside classes.
Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah.
Lizzie, how about you?
So through my events, my first year when I did prepared speaking, it allowed me to kind of branch out and realize that and I kind of grew my public speaking skills a little bit more during my sophomore year, even though I was still shy and kind of scared to speak in front of a crowd. And then the next year when I advanced to, or I guess both years, every time I went to the conventions, I was able to talk with other people about different things that we had different perspectives on, and then we would get to learn more from each other, and we would get to learn more about the events that we didn't even know existed. And so it kind of just broadened my horizon. I was able to truly see the future doctors of America, and I just felt it was very empowering. So I feel like I kind of carry that with me. It's I'm proud to be in HOSA, and all these other individuals are on the same page as I am, and it's really exciting to see because I can have these academic conversations and we can reach a conclusion together, and it's really great. It's really great. Yeah.
So, all right, now we're going to lead into leadership. Okay, y'all are all HOSA officers for your chapter, correct? Or district, or?
Yes,
Okay.
I was the local HOSA chapter president. But we had re-elections this year, and being senior year,
You gotcha.
yeah. But then I'm also the Area 4 vice president. So I oversee the Area 4 region from El Paso to the cusp of Dallas.
That's pretty crazy. But one of the greatest things with most organizations is that there's those leadership opportunities for
Right.
students. So how did you get involved with the leadership aspect of it?
So kind of going back to going to these conventions and talking with other people, I would talk to officers and I'd be like, wow, your leadership capabilities have completely flourished because of this organization. And I was like, maybe I should just do it. And I was a little apprehensive at first, but then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And so I submitted my application, and although I was nervous because we hadn't had an officer from Lubbock in 10 years. And so I was very scared because El Paso is one of the biggest chapters within our region. And I was really worried that I was going to be going against like HOSA academies and like El Paso, like CCTE, like health science programs. But then I was like, no, the ATC is great and they've supported me through all of this. So I submitted my application, I advanced, and I went to my interview. I did my speech at the business conference, and I was elected. And I was like, this is amazing. And then whenever I was able to interact with the past like Area 4 officers, it was really just like, it changes how you like view things. Like you definitely learn how to deal with certain problems, conflict resolution kind of thing, how to like direct a group's attention, how to, icebreakers and getting people to know each other and talk to each other. And it really has helped me in that aspect.
That's cool. Now, and we have a diverse group here. So we've got Lizzie as an area leader. Haley has been involved with HOSA for quite a while, but not necessarily a leader at the an official leader,
Yes.
Obviously a leader. And then Taylor's brand new into HOSA, and so just now starting out. So what leadership opportunities have you guys seen and been able to take a part of just in your time in HOSA to a different level? I mean,
So my sophomore year, I was president of our chapter here. Not anything crazy like her
Overachiever.
leadership.
No, she started it. She started it ground up.
But yes, so I did that, and I kind of just helped with meetings and stuff like that here locally for our members. And my sophomore year was a really big year for HOSA.
Big year.
We had a lot of members, so kind of just proposing new ideas to our members was what I would do. And then my junior year, I did not do any leadership positions, but I will say HOSA definitely, even if you're not in an officer position, you are learning leadership skills no matter what. No matter what event you're in, no matter where you're from, you are learning leadership skills, even if it's just from like talking to your peers.
Yeah.
And she did really good at the conventions about like helping people learn how to get those leadership skills. And yeah, I'm just so proud of her.
Oh, thanks, Haley.
awesome. Very cool. So we kind of skipped over a little bit talking about contest. And so tell us about what it's like to go compete, what different contests there are out there. I know you shared some of the things that you've done as well. So like when you went, what all did you compete in? And Taylor, what are you looking forward to competing?
So my first year, I did behavioral sciences, which is like how the brain works and why we do things that we do. And that was a very hard event to compete in. I had to study a lot, and it was stuff that I had never really seen before because I'm just this little sophomore who's only taken like principles of health science. And so I learned a lot from that, and then I ended up advancing for that event. And I also did the healthcare issues exam, which is what she was talking about, the like current events. And I also advanced for that one. And the good thing about the healthcare issues exam is that you can do it on top of another event. Because usually it's limited to one event per person. But you can do the healthcare issues exam as well. And that event accepts a lot of people onto the next round. So Miss McMurray always encourages everyone to do that event. And that's where most of our success comes from, is that event. And then my junior year, I did medical terminology and healthcare issues exams. So medical terminology takes a lot of time and a lot of practice to study and get down the words. Unfortunately, I got 4th place that year, and they took top 3. Oh, wow. But in healthcare issues exam, I did advance. So, like, once again, healthcare issues exam is a very good event to compete in because it's promising of advancing.
Sure.
So,
Awesome. Taylor, how about you?
I've obviously never competed, but I am looking forward to just like seeing what the environment of the contest is going to be, and like I just don't really know what to expect at the moment, and like I know I'll go in there and do a skill. I don't know which skill, but it'll just be very eye-opening, and I've already learned a lot through just studying how the skills are done in each individual step. So I'm just excited to do it.
That's awesome. Very cool.
So one thing as an instructor is that, because I do I do Skills USA because HOSA doesn't fit what I do. I don't do health. My wife's a nurse, but I'm not a nurse, so I don't know, whatever. But anyway, so whenever we, as a teacher, we love the ones that get involved and to get to see successes like y'all do, getting involved as the area officer, and also as a chapter president, watching the students grow as leaders and do all that is extremely fulfilling for one, and it's kind of brings a tear to your eye sometimes. But it's really nice to see that there are students that are willing to take the extra step to go a little bit further to grow themselves and to become leaders within America, and that's kind of the goal. So me saying that, if you have a teacher, or if you're saying you're talking to people across America and trying to convince their teacher to go into HOSA, what would you say to that teacher to get them to join and to get involved?
I would honestly say if you're truly passionate about the healthcare field, why not? It's an experience. It's been life-changing for almost all of our members. And it really does, I know I already said this, but broaden your scope of the world, because it's when they say the organization is international, it is international. Every time I've gone to internationals twice, sophomore and then junior year, and I met people from China, I met people from Costa Rica, I met people from Australia. It's an international organization, and it's so fun because I get to interact with these people because we do pin trading. Mm-hmm. So you get to get one of their pins and you give one of theirs, and so on and so on. So I have these big name tags with a whole bunch of pins down it from different countries and all the states in America, and it's amazing to see, because not only are you competing, but you're competing in something you're passionate about, and when you're passionate about something, that's going to result in success. So, yeah.
Do you feel like the instructors, not everybody's in HOSA, right?
Right.
Just a small percentage of your class, I assume, right? Do the other kids, if I'm an instructor and I'm looking at, the ideal of maybe we should do HOSA, how's that going to impact my whole class? Is it just going to be my skills folks, or my HOSA folks that get the advantage of it, or is that going to have an effect on my whole class? What do you guys think?
So really, I think that it just affects the HOSA students, but also there's that rippling effect that you see when the HOSA students begin to speak about their experiences, then it interests other students. But HOSA is such a fully immersive organization to where you can see one person having a good time there, and then so many other kids just want to get involved in it. And the learning aspect too, you can spread your knowledge with other kids and really ignite that interest in the medical field.
And whenever you come back from a conference and you're beaming with excitement because you advanced or you met some close friends, and Haley and I still talk to some of our closest friends from HOSA, and some of them live in Tennessee, some of them live in live? I don't know, but they
just live everywhere.
They live everywhere. We've met
people.
so many people.
That is cool.
And when you come back to class and you're beaming with that excitement, then I feel that's when you really see that rippling effect, and people are like, oh, wait, maybe I am doing it. And if you would choose an event that's right for you, then more than likely you'll be successful in that event.
And I would challenge you guys a little bit, because you do, just being a part of that organization, you raise the bar, right? And so you're affected by the people around you, and so your classmates are going to grow. They're going to be better just because of what you guys are focusing on. So I would think if I'm a potential advisor out there, I'm definitely going to see the benefit of that. So.
And it's honestly really amazing, because as my role as the vice president for our area, my main goal this year was to outreach to our region and Amarillo, because we're the smaller part of Area 4, and so that was my goal. And now I have 2 Lubbock officers running for area, and the area conference is being held in Amarillo next week, and that's really exciting because it has not been held in Amarillo since before I was even in high school. And so it's really just amazing to see that I do have an impact, and it's honestly a growth for our chapter too, because we're starting to get up in the top chapters, and like our stats are really good for our competitors advancing, and going to internationals is also getting our name out there. So it is kind of like a distinguished chapter, I would say.
Now, thinking about recruiting, obviously for those advisors that are out there, we're a bunch of old folks, right? And you guys have already said Miss McMurray was amazing at getting you guys involved, but also that the peer network was a huge part of it. What advice would you give to advisors that are out there? Like, what would you tell them to tell their kids why be a part of HOSA?
I would tell them that if they're interested in the healthcare field, and if they're taking a class, and if they're really passionate about being a nurse, being a doctor, going into healthcare like administration and all of those different aspects of healthcare, do it, because you can put it on your resume. You can tell them that you have experience. You have connections. You form those connections, and sometimes connections are more important than that like advancement to state or something like that. And having those contacts and really being able to see the others grow, and some of the like last year's post-secondary officer, she's now going into vet school. Oh, cool. And that's just, she originally wanted to go into med school, but her course changed because of HOSA. So if you want to get a head start in your career, and if you're truly passionate about going into the healthcare industry, then do it, because it has lasting effects throughout your life. And it's not just going to be something that you do and then you automatically forget about it, because it really does change you, I would say.
You guys want to add anything to that?
I could not word that any better. Perfect.
Awesome. And Taylor, as a brand new person, like what would have sold you on it other than Lizzie?
I mean, other than like, my friends just like begging me to join it, I've heard about the trips and the connections that they've made, and even just like learning how to do stuff that you're gonna use in your future. Because like there's other clubs here, but like some of that stuff you wouldn't use in your future, but this you're going to utilize it. And so that, and also just the experiences you gain from it, really like sold me on joining.
Yeah, and another thing is if you're kind of unsure about going in the med field, and if you're like, oh, I kind of want to do this, I want to kind of do this, HOSA can help you like decide before you go into college, and really have to like know what you kind of want to do. And that alleviates a lot of stress, because doing HOSA, now I'm a biology major, and I know for sure that's exactly what I want to do. Sure. And maybe that'll change, maybe it won't, but HOSA also gives you the opportunity to embrace change and kind of realize that, okay, some things might not go that way, and that's okay. So
that's awesome. I love how passionate these guys are.
I love it too. Sure. And the great part is that, you know, having the passion as a teacher, having passion from that is going to grow your chapter. It's also going to grow leadership within it. Mm-hmm. And as an educator, and then you can attest to this too, getting kids more involved within the student organization that you're working with actually improves your classes tremendously. Yeah. Ever since I started getting my students involved doing leadership stuff, going out and doing, being a district, or being like a chapter officer, district officer, and I've had some run for state, never made it, but they run for state, but it changes the dynamic of your classroom, because you have those leaders that are willing to help promote, but also they also are kind of, I would say, another second set of eyes, but not really, but they are good influences on those in the class to make them to promote to do more within the organization and within your classroom. And that's kind of been my biggest thing with the organization I do, because it's made my classes easier to handle, because you have kids that are in there that are willing to learn and want to learn more and want to grow. And these organizations will do that to everybody's classes. So it's really cool.
You guys talked a lot about the connections that you made with other people. One benefit that you guys may not even realize, you talked a lot about how it's benefited you, but we're really blessed here at the ATC, because you guys have, we have a full ambulance in the EMT class. Come on. Yeah. Incidentally, I helped build that, but it's whatever. Right?
It's wood.
But you guys get to do amazing things. You guys are starting live blood draws. This is insane.
Yeah.
But not every program across the nation has the ability to do these kind of things. And so where you guys may not realize, but you're being able to connect with students that are in other places, and they get to see a part of the experience that you guys have had, and really enhances their experience too.
Yeah, and one thing I would like to say, this is also kind of good for CTE programs that don't necessarily have the like resources we have an ambulance, have like simulation equipment, but when you get to state and when you get to internationals, they have symposiums where you can go and you can work in an ambulance, where you can draw on a mannequin arm. They have these like classes that you can take while you're at internationals when you're not competing. And we like made clay models one year of the heart and of the urinary system, and it's honestly, I get so much knowledge from HOSA that it honestly like makes me feel much more confident here, even though we have these resources. But taking those classes, going outside of my comfort zone and experiencing those things in a different place, in a different setting, just kind of preps me for changing in the future. Yeah,
That's great. Love it. Now we're in February now, starting today.
Yeah.
February is CTE month, so Career and Technical Education month. Didn't know if you guys knew that or not. But just real quick, kind of to close this out, talk to me about what has Career and Technical Education classes in general, what impact has that had on your experience as a student? Taylor, you want to start?
Yeah. I totally was not going to come to the ATC like my sophomore year, but then I figured out about all of the classes and stuff that could give you these opportunities. And I think it's just such like a great tool that we have, because some kids don't get to know like what happens on the ambulance, and they don't know what they want to do when they go to college. But we have a newfound knowledge that we already want to go into this and we already want to study this. So then we're automatically just ahead in some of those aspects. So.
And ever since my sophomore year, I have looked forward to coming to the ATC almost every single day. I'm like, I can't wait to go to ATC. I can't wait to go to ATC, because it does so much for us. Not only are we learning and exploring our passion for the med field, but we also represent the school. We're ATC ambassadors as well.
Oh, cool.
So we get to kind of introduce this amazing privilege that we have to like the younger students and encourage them to come here. And we get to go on trips together. Like, that's amazing. And so it's just so exciting to come to the ATC, and rather than just learning your typical like math, science, whatever, we're actually exploring that like niche passion we have, and that's really exciting and changing for all of us.
That's cool. Haley?
And CTE classes just give you such a leg up on other students, whether it be college students or high school students. You are already deciding what you want to do with your life, and not necessarily that it's a set decision,
Sure.
but it's a push into the right direction. And you can figure out kind of what you're interested in, what your passion is. And for me, like right now, I'm just kind of, I don't know if I want to do EMT like in the real world after high school. But I mean, after clinicals, maybe I'll enjoy it. Maybe I can do some work in that area during college to get some extra money. But I just think that CTE has really pushed me in the right direction.
That's awesome.
And I'd like to add something else to that, but we also see not just with like respect to like the medical section of the ATC, but I see these kids who are in welding, who are in automotive tech, and they are going out into the real industry and they're succeeding. And it's just so wonderful to see these people like having that right course or like right push in the right direction straight out of high school, and being able to explore what they want to do aside from all the other high school core classes and things like that. So it's honestly, we are so lucky to have this opportunity and already like see the success happening. Yeah.
That's cool.
As a teacher, it's always great to hear that. As a administrator, it's always great to hear that. We're doing something right around here, right?
Sure.
Yeah. But ladies, thank y'all for being on here with us today.
Yeah.
We appreciate your time and sharing y'all's experiences within HOSA and within CTE in general, and with your classes here. And anybody that's out there that wants more information about HOSA, go to hosa.org, and you'll be able to look up some more information on HOSA. Do y'all have anything else y'all want to add before we go out?
If you want to support Texas HOSA, look up texashosa.org.
There you go. I love it. And we appreciate y'all, and thank y'all for being here for CTE month. And we're gonna do a few more of these throughout the next couple of weeks to promote our student organizations and our CTE across the state of Texas. Thank y'all for watching, and we'll see y'all next week.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
You can watch and listen to all episodes of the CTE podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Podcast, and LubbockISDTV.com.